The lady from the church asked me to pray for her husband's soul. I said, "Of course, when did he die?" And she answered, "Tomorrow." No child should die alone. That's why I decided to let my son invite some friends over. Someone started having a coughing fit at my workplace. The problem is that I work alone in a morgue. Never knock on your door from the inside at dawn. The devil can knock on the outside. These macabre stories and others that can't be told on the channel, you'll see in the Cursed ebook. The link is in the comments. Buy it now. The wax house stood at the edge of town, its facade a crumbling relic from another era. The locals spoke of it in hushed tones, sharing whispers about the strange rules that governed the place. If you ever found yourself standing before its decaying doors, you'd see a sign that read the wax house rules before entering. The rules were etched in the wood, worn and faded, almost blending into the surrounding decay. They warned visitors to be cautious, but never revealed exactly what awaited inside. The first rule was simple: do not touch the wax figures. It seemed harmless enough, but there was something unsettling about the way the figures seemed to watch you. On a foggy evening, Alex, a curious teenager with a taste for the macabre, decided to venture into the wax house. The allure of the unknown was too strong, and he brushed off the uneasy feeling in his gut. He approached the front door, its paint peeling like old scabs, and pushed it open. The inside of the house was eerily silent, save for the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards beneath his feet. The air was thick with dust and the faint, unpleasant scent of mildew. The wax figures, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, stood in eerie stillness, their eyes seemingly alive with hidden malice. As Alex wandered through the dimly lit rooms, he came across a second rule: never make eye contact with the figures. His heart skipped a beat. The figures' eyes seemed to follow him, though he tried to avoid looking directly at them. Their gaze felt heavy, as if they were watching his every move. The third rule was scrawled hastily beneath the others: do not speak above a whisper. Alex's breath hitched. He wondered why he needed to be silent. The oppressive silence of the house made it hard to think clearly, but he managed to obey, whispering softly to himself as he explored. The deeper Alex ventured, the more he felt a sense of dread. The house seemed to shift and change, its rooms warping into grotesque parodies of normality. Shadows twisted into shapes that looked almost human, and every now and then a cold breeze brushed past him, sending shivers down his spine. The fourth rule was more cryptic: if you hear a whisper, you must leave immediately. Alex strained to listen for anything out of the ordinary, but all he could hear was the faint, unsettling hum of the house. He chalked it up to his imagination, though part of him was desperate to leave. As Alex approached a large, dimly lit room at the back of the house, he noticed that the wax figures appeared more lifelike. Their faces were contorted in expressions of pure agony, their eyes wide and pleading. The room seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. The fifth rule was plastered on the wall in a frantic scrawl: do not stay past midnight. Alex checked his watch and saw that it was already nearing 12. Panic set in as he realized he'd been so engrossed in exploring that he'd lost track of time. The temperature dropped suddenly, and Alex's breath formed visible puffs in the cold air. The wax figures seemed to come alive, their eyes glowing with a sinister light. He could hear soft whispers now, barely audible, but unmistakably urging him to leave. A sense of urgency gripped Alex as he turned to leave. The house, however, seemed to conspire against him. The once familiar layout had become a maze of twisting hallways and dead ends. He was trapped in a labyrinth of wax and shadows, with the clock ticking ominously in his mind. The 6th rule, written in blood-red ink, read, "If you hear your name, do not respond." A chilling breeze swept through the hallway, and Alex's name echoed softly in the darkness. His heart raced as he fought the instinct to call out. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. Desperation set in as Alex ran through the hallways, the wax figures seemingly moving on their own, blocking his path. The house seemed alive, its walls closing in on him. The once invisible figures now reached out with waxy, malformed hands, their expressions twisted in silent screams. As the clock struck midnight, the entire house seemed to shudder. The whispers grew into a cacophony of voices, all shouting in unison. Alex's panic reached its peak as he stumbled through the ever-changing corridors, trying to escape the nightmarish maze. The 7th rule, barely visible in the dim light, said, "If you are caught, you become one of us." Alex's breath caught in his throat. The meaning of the rule was clear now. The wax figures weren't just statues. They were once people trapped forever in this cursed house. As he rounded a corner, Alex saw the entrance to the house. Relief flooded through him, but his joy was short-lived. The door was locked, and the key was nowhere to be found. The house seemed to mock his desperate attempts to escape, its walls shifting to prevent his exit. The whispers grew louder, more frantic. Alex's name was being chanted by a multitude of voices, the wax figure's eyes glowing with an eerie intensity. He realized too late that the house had claimed him, and the rules had been his only warning. With a final, desperate effort, Alex tried to break a window, but the glass was unbreakable. The house had absorbed all his attempts to escape. The figures closed in on him, their expressions twisted into malevolent grins. The house seemed to consume the last vestiges of Alex's hope, enveloping him in darkness. The whispers turned into a deafening roar, and he felt himself being pulled into the wall, his body merging with the wax. His screams were muffled by the encroaching darkness. Morning came, and the house stood silent once more. The sign outside still bore the same warning, though it seemed less ominous now. The wax figures remained as they were, their eyes forever watching, their expressions frozen in eternal anguish. The townspeople whispered about Alex's disappearance, shaking their heads and avoiding the house. They knew the rules, but their curiosity had never driven them to test them. The wax house remained an enigma, a dark secret at the edge of their world. Days turned into weeks, and the wax house fell into further disrepair. The town's children told stories about the house, their tales growing more elaborate with each retelling. They spoke of the figures coming to life at night, seeking new souls to join their eternal torment. Alex's name became a cautionary tale, a ghost story whispered around campfires and shared in the dark. His fate served as a grim reminder of the house's sinister power and the importance of heeding its rules. Occasionally, someone new would venture into the wax house, driven by the same curiosity that had once claimed Alex. They, too, would be drawn into the house's dark embrace, their fate sealed by the same rules that had ensnared so many before. The wax figures remain, their waxy skin a grotesque reminder of the souls trapped within. Their eyes seemed to follow anyone who dared to approach, their silent cries echoing through the empty halls. The house continued its grim task, adding new figures to its collection. The town's folklore grew, blending fact with fiction. The wax house became a symbol of the unknown, a place where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred. The stories of those who vanished into its depths became cautionary legends. In time, the house fell into obscurity, its presence reduced to mere whispers in the dark. Yet, those who knew of its existence never forgot the rules, nor the chilling reminder of what lay beyond its doors. And so the wax house remained a place of fear and fascination, its rules etched in the memories of those who dared to remember. The figures continued their eternal vigil, waiting for the next soul to challenge the rules and become one with the house. If you ever find yourself standing before the wax house, remember the rules. The wax figures are always watching, and the whispers of the house are not to be ignored. For once you enter, there is no escape, and the house will claim you as it has claimed so many before. Until next time, thank you.